And welcome to the county cricket ground in Northampton, where the Sunrisers will be taking on Western Storm. I'm Guy Swindles and I'll be keeping you company this afternoon, talking you through everything that's happened. Let's start with the news from the toss first and foremost. Western Storm have won the toss and they will bowl. So the Sunrisers batting first on what is a pretty chilly grey day here in Northampton. Considering it's June tomorrow, it doesn't quite feel that way at the moment at the ground. The teams will line up like this. We'll start, of course, with the Sunrisers. Maddie Villiers, Dani van Niekerk, Cordelia Griffith, Grace Scrivens, Amara Carr, Florence Miller, Eva Gray, Joe Gardner, Kelly Castle, Lissy McLeod and Abtahar Maqsood. As for the Western Storm, there is no Heather Knight. She has gone off to join the England squad ahead of their busy summer. So in her place will be Claire Nicholas, and the rest of the team line up like this: Natasha Wraith, Danielle Gibson, Orla Prendergast, the Irish bowler who's bowled so well this season, Fran Wilson, Sophie Luff, the captain, Naeem Holland, Alex Griffiths, Sophia Small, Lauren Filer, Chloe Skelton and Claire Nicholas in for Heather Knight. Sad that we won't see the England skipper here today, but I don't think the Sunrisers will mind too much on that. Neither team perhaps have got the results that some of their performances have deserved as yet this season. The Sunrisers looking for their first victory. Western Storm have one win so far and 3 defeats in the 4 matches they have played. The umpires are now coming out onto the pitch. That's Anna Harris and Sue Redfern this afternoon, to a rather splendid greeting with the flags from the younger supporters and younger members of the cricket team who are along to say to Western Storm, welcome to Northampton, welcome to the Sunrisers, and they get into the huddle before they begin their fielding process. We can see the 2 openers, as far as the Sunrisers are concerned, beginning to make their way out as well, as flames go off behind them. Let's hope that some fireworks are lit this afternoon for the Sunrisers. They're both wearing short sleeve t-shirts, which is quite bold given the weather today. And now all the players are heading out towards the middle. Starting will be Maddie Villiers and Dani van Niekerk, I think. Which we'll find out in a second. Certainly Dani van Niekerk. That does look as if Maddie Villiers is taking guard at the other end to start bowling. It will be Claire Nicholas who was brought in to the side from Swansea. Hasn't played yet this season, but it was a pretty good T20 record. She's taken 85 wickets over the years at an average of just over 17. And it will be starting with spin, which is always an interesting decision to make, but one that we're seeing more and more in T20 cricket. And Claire Nicholas thrown straight in her first game of the season, right arm over the wicket, and giving it a chance to turn. As Maddie Villiers gets ready once more. Nicholas in, and that's down the leg side, and that should be a wide. It's almost too wide for Maddie Villiers to actually reach. So after a first very good ball, just dragging it down a little bit on that occasion, Claire Nicholas. She's going to Dani van Niekerk, just making sure that she can see the crease before Nicholas starts again. And that is reverse swept. It was a foolish delivery, and onto it very quickly indeed was Maddie Villiers, and she gets the first runs off the bat. An encouraging start so far for the Sunrisers, but it was a full toss, but she played it beautifully, spotted it early, saw the gap with no slips, no third man. There was just a point to worry about. This time she comes down the wicket and strikes it up to mid-off, where it's fielded nicely. There is no run. Comes down the wicket again, and this time launches it over mid-on for 4 more. And Maddie Villiers starting as she means to continue so far. Excellent start from her. So far, she really hasn't got going with the bat this season. 13 runs before today. She's got 8 more now. Claire Nicholas comes round the wicket. Oh, and that's short, but it's bolder. She went back to play the cut shot, and she will be livid with herself. But what a breakthrough. Moments after we saw the ball smashed back over her head for 4, she came around the wicket, and that has done the damage. And the Sunrisers have lost their first wicket. Maddie Villiers, who had started so brightly with 2 excellent boundaries, is bowled having another swing. I think the ball, lack of bounce, may have surprised her, but it will be Lissy McLeod who comes in next, and well, that was a disappointment as far as Maddie Villiers is concerned. Bowled by Nicholas for just 9, with the score on 9. That's driven up to mid-on. There is no run there. That is the end of an over that had a little bit of everything. A wide, a full toss that was lapped away, an excellent drive over long on, and then a slog and miss and a bowl. So Maddie Villiers goes, and after the first over, the run total is looking good as far as the Sunrisers are concerned. The wicket, though, well, she'll be cross with herself when she watches that back. It's Danielle Gibson to bowl from the other end, from the David Capel end. Right arm over the wicket. That's a lovely shot, but nicely fielded. Paula Prendergast doing the fielding in the covers. And Gibson starts with a dot ball, Danielle Gibson. Dani van Niekerk is forced into the defensive shot on that occasion. Steady start from Gibson. Bowls again, and Van Niekerk comes down the wicket, and it wasn't the delivery to be giving the charge to Gibson on that occasion. A little bit lucky. Gibson just bowling it outside off stump, and Van Niekerk had stepped away to leg and then come down the wicket to try and drive. That is too wide on this occasion. Van Niekerk again has wind up for the big shot, but it was never there, and in the end the wicketkeeper Wraith did well to take the ball. This time Van Niekerk just plays it defensively, thinks about the tip and run, but wicketkeeper Wraith was up very quickly on that occasion. The skipper, Sophie Luff, goes to go and have a chat with a bowler, presumably to say carry on the good work, because we've had one wide, yes, but 4 dot balls, steady start, score is on 10. This time Van Niekerk gets to the ball, and it's a super strike in the end. She really did get a lot of that. 1 bounce 4 over mid-off. What a nice way to get off the mark as far as former South African skipper is concerned. What a signing she is for the Sunrisers this summer. She moves on to 4, the score to 14. Gibson is in again, and that's a decent delivery, pitched up on this occasion, well dug out by Van Niekerk, but straight to the fielder. 5 runs from the over, 14 for 1 after 2, the Sunrisers, after they were put in. Now, Dani Van Niekerk, this is a 4th game for the Sunrisers so far this summer, and a high score of 17 so far, so still waiting for the very best of Dani Van Niekerk, someone who played 86 one-day T20 internationals for her country. High score and 90 not out. Is going to be a change of bowling again. So just the 1 over for the wicket taker Claire Nicholas, as Lauren Filan comes into the attack. Lauren Filan, right arm medium, Somerset born. Ball's nice and full. First ball, in fact, that Lissy McLeod has actually faced so far. She punches it into the covers. There is no run. Lauren Filer's taken 4 wickets so far this season, average a shade over 23, so she's enjoyed some success. That's a super drive, and it punctures the 3 fielders who were set out for exactly that shot. I think it might be dragged back. It is. It's a brilliant save right by the boundary rope, but they can trot through for an easy 3 in the end, and that will settle Issy McLeod down. What a nice way to get off the mark. Old-fashioned glorious cover drive for 3. Filer has the ball back and ready. Just having a word with mid-on and mid-off as she waits for Dani Van Niekerk to get ready to face. Short, and Van Niekerk is tempted into the cut shot. Bit of a play and miss on this occasion. Good pace from Filer to get that bounce out of this wicket, which looks a pretty good one so far from what we've seen. Full dugout up to mid-on, where Prendergast does the fielding. And that's down the leg side and should and is a wide. Should be and is a wide. One more to the total. So pretty good scoring rate so far. Maddie Villiers, as I say, will be upset that looking to be in very good form. She missed a slow, shortish delivery and saw her stumps rearranged. Viola short again, and that really did generate some pace. Good bowling from Viola. Pretty decent record, the 22-year-old. Across all T20 matches that she's played, with an average of 23 with the ball. And that is just hammered by Danny van Niekerk for another one of her trademark one bounce fours that she seems to be in the mood for this afternoon. And after what had been a pretty tidy over, the bowler is made to pay for the one wide, because with the extra delivery she is launched over mid-on for 4 more. And the score after 3 overs, respectable so far from the Sunrisers, 22 for 1. And Niekerk has moved on to 8, McLeod 3. They're having a decent chat in the middle. And certainly we're racing through. Change of bowlers. This is the 4th over and the 4th bowler we've seen. It will be Orla Prendergast. And she has 7 wickets already in the campaign this season. She bowled really well. Average of just over 16. She could be the threat as far as the Sunrisers are concerned. It's full. It's just stroked out into the covers by McLeod. Minimal foot movement, and it's but played perfectly comfortably. She played 34 T20 internationals for a country as well, Orla Prendergast. Considering she's only 20. Oh, and she gets the full shot on this occasion. You see McLeod aiming into the offside, gets a thickish inside edge perfectly safely all the way along the ground into the onside, and there is no run. Another good delivery, and they go for the quick single, and well, it would have been quite sharp. I think she was always in Issy McLeod, but certainly there was an element of risk about that particular run up to mid-on, but they safely survive it, the Sunrisers pair. It was Issy McLeod's call. She wanted the run. She was going to the danger end. Van Niekerk just coming down the wicket to try and negate any possible movement. Not in a position to launch the ball. And a very good over, a good tidy over so far from Prendergast. Oh, and Orla Prendergast beats Dani van Niekerk this time, and she is cross with herself. She came down and threw everything at that one. A little bit lucky to survive, possibly. Just see that one again. She did come down, flamingo leg out at the back. But no edge. A little bit of lateral movement though. And Prendergast continues to impress in this over. That's what spinners usually do when they're about to prepare for their run-up. And that's down the leg side. And that is the first loose delivery in this over. And Niekerk checks the wicket keeper's all right, because she was pretty adjacent in the end, Nat Wraith to the bat of the South African. Full. Oh, and this is just dinked. Miss-hit, really. She was aiming over mid-wicket, long-on area, and just got a bit of the ball, which fell safe on the leg side, and they go through for a single. But well bowled again. Getting a little bit of swing that we haven't seen from anybody else as yet. Orla Prendergast, and they decide that a single will do. Just the 3 runs from the over. And she gave them one of them with the wide. So 25 for 1 now after 4. Decent enough start. Van Niekerk 8 from 13. McLeod 4 from 6. If you're just joining us, there has been 1 wicket to fall so far. And that was Maddie Villiers, who'd raced to 8 after 4 balls, but then was bowled with the 5th. Filer is in. Van Niekerk again looking to step away to leg to give herself space. Bowler not put off at all though. Continues to pepper off and middle. Let's see. Should certainly keep Van Niekerk honest. That's down the leg side, but flicked away by Van Niekerk. She decided, yes, she'd probably get 1 for the wide, but it was a half volley outside leg stump, and she's not going to miss out on that, and decides that the 4 would be an altogether better use of that delivery. Timing was lovely. All 3 of her boundaries have been beautifully timed. There have been quite a lot of playing and missing, but when she hits it, it stays hit. That is for sure. Gibson and Filer have a word. And they decide that a short fine leg is the answer. And that is short outside off stump, and it is pummeled away in front of square. That is some shot. It ends up going through the covers, absolutely middled. Again, stepping away to leg, giving herself some room, and the bowler just strayed in length and was punished for it. Van Niekerk now has 16 at a runner ball. 4 scoring shots. And that is driven and very nearly finds the fielder at mid-off. It will go for 4 and she'll move to 20, all in boundaries. But that, I imagine, stung a finger as it went through mid-on. She's still just down on the ground, slightly disconsolate with that one, because I think she did get something on it. Sophia Snail. There's a possible run out as there's a little bit of miscommunication over a possible single. Squared up. It was the call of McLeod, but I don't think there was ever really a run there, and quite rightly Van Niekerk saw what was happening and sent a partner back. Short. Oh, and there's an edge. And Van Niekerk goes. This one was much too close for her for that cut shot, as she now realises. The ball she cut away earlier in the over, that was wide. This one wasn't. Too close to her. She tries to ramp it over the vacant slip area, and she too perishes, caught behind. A little edge through to Nat Wraith, and Van Niekerk goes for 20. That included 5 fours. Just as she was getting going. So that will be a blow. It's the final ball of the over as well from Lauren Filer. She goes for 20 off 19. And near Kirk, but Cordelia Griffith now comes to the crease. First wicket fell when the score was 9. Score now 37 for 2. So Van Neerkerk and Lissy McLeod on 28. Virtually all scored. 24 of the runs coming from extras and Van Neerkerk. It is now Cordelia Griffith who's joined Lissy McLeod, she'll have to wait, Griffiths, to face the ball, because that was the end of an over, and it will be Prendergast to continue. Prendergast bowling from the David Capel end here at the County Cricket Ground at Northampton. Lissy McLeod, it's wide, a slower ball. Clever piece of bowling. McLeod doesn't time it. Change of pace. A good one. Cordelia Griffiths has been on occasion holding this batting lineup together in this competition. She's already got 125 runs at an average of 31. She has been superb so far this season for the Sunrisers. Half century as well. That's a decent shot by McLeod. It is well fielded, but there is no stopping the single. Cordelia Griffith just getting herself sorted with getting a mark ready. Prendergast has to wait. 38 for 2 now as we're in the 6th over. Prendergast in once again. Oh, and there's a thick edge from Cordelia Griffith, but it's softly played. Goes to short third man. But they can go through for a single. It's well watched by Lissy McLeod. Saw that there was an opportunity there for a run and did well. Sophie Luff, the skipper for the Western Storm, unable to stop them. Prendergast again, lovely line and length. Fractionally short of a line, short of a length. Not a bowler you can take liberties with. This is down the leg side, and this is going to go for 5 wides, which will put a dent in her otherwise immaculate figures. That's the one problem at the moment as far as Western Storm are concerned. They are bowling a few wides, and that one really will be expensive. Just before the end of the power play means that another ball has to be bowled before the end of said power play, and that is slapped away, and as so often happens when the extra ball is available, just strays in line this time that had previously been immaculate. The last 2 balls though, 5 wides and a super shot through the covers by Griffith for 4 mean that in the end that was an expensive over. 48 for 2 then after 6 overs, and the power play comes to an end, and well, certainly 8 and over. That's very pleasing for the Sunrisers. They have lost a couple of big name wickets, but Maddie Villiers, if you're just joining us, going for 9, bowled by Nicholas, and Danny van Niekerk caught behind by Wraith off the bowling of Filer for 20. All of which are coming boundaries. Sophie Luff just goes and makes sure everything is all right as far as Filer is concerned, who's going to continue from the Lynn Wilson end here at the county ground. Filer's in, lovely delivery, just giving full length, just tempting the batter, and Cordelia Griffith thought her luck was in for a minute there, but the ball just shaped away from her as well. She's beaten outside off stump. This is down the leg side though and will be a wide. Wide's currently mounting. Already been 11, so they've scored pretty well for the Sunrisers. And that make it 12. Oh no, this has just come off the pad rather than being wide as far as the umpire is concerned. So good take in the end by Nat Wraith behind the stumps. It's quite a stiff breeze on occasion, gusts. And this is punched away off the back foot by Cordelia Griffith. There is a person there and they've decided to take one for the throw. And beautifully judged by Griffith, and she gets back easily for the second. 50 comes up for the Sunrisers. Good brisk pace as well. Only in the 7th over. This comes off pad but goes fine down the leg side. There is now a deepish fine leg who comes in, keeps them down to 1 leg bite. Filer. Short, flicked around the corner, very on it, very quickly indeed. Lissy McLeod picked the length superbly. Thought for a minute she might be in danger with the fine leg there, but she played it very fine indeed. Super shot. Very nearly went the whole way, but she'll settle for 4. The Sunrisers keep up this early assault. There's a thick edge and this could well go for 4 more. Third man is too wide to come round and cut that off, so it's back-to-back boundaries. And another expensive over in the end. What are the runs in these overs at the moment, coming off the final ball or 2? But back-to-back boundaries means the score is now 60 for 2 after 7. Lissy McLeod is on to 17 from 13. Griffith 3 from 5, but happy to watch Lissy McLeod at the moment, who is enjoying herself out here. Played 3 of the matches so far this year. This is her 4th. 40 runs in those 3 matches. High score of 21 so far this season, Lissy McLeod. There's a change of bowler. Spin on again. This time it's Smale who has come into the attack. Sophia Smale, one of 2 Welsh spinners in this team, along with Claire Nicholas. only 18, which has been in the England under-19s. Griffiths taking the single. See McLeod now getting ready to face. Just checking as square leg comes forward of square. And that's just played nicely into the offside. Tip and run, really, as far as Cordelia Griffith is concerned. Called through and accepted the challenge from McLeod, who moves to 18 with that single. Again, happy to keep the scoreboard ticking over with the platform that they have, the Sunrisers. And that is well fielded, because that ball spat and bounced in front of the fielder. Kept her eye on it. Didn't carry, it was up in the air for a while, but just bounced in front of Lauren Filer. Just another single though. Down the leg side and flick round the corner. Oh, and they go for a very quick single, because there was a fielder there, Claire Nicholas, but they get there, and happily in the end for the Sunrisers, they take 5 runs from that over, all singles. They're still going at 8 and over. Change of bowling again, as the skipper Sophie Luff thinking that possibly spin's the way to go at the moment. That the way the Sunrisers have attacked the seamers, brakes might be applied by spin. So Chloe Skelton comes on, 21. Off spinner from Gloucester, came through the Gloucestershire ranks. Skelton, quite a long fast run up, but then really a nice loop to that delivery. But Griffith was on it very quickly and swung out to deep mid-wicket. There it is, successfully stopped. This is punched straight to extra cover, and they go for a single on the misfield, and Cordelia Griffith had to really get the afterburners on. Don't think she was expecting that call at all from Lissy McLeod. Funnily enough, it was there, but the old adage, never run on a misfield, studiously ignored by Lissy McLeod on this occasion. And that's a super shot from Cordelia Griffith. Stand and deliver, and smashed over long off for 4. Came down the wicket, only one thing in her mind, and Griffith moves into double figures. Skelton, who'd looked very tidy so far, suddenly concedes her first boundary. Griffiths again, this time she rocks back onto the back foot, waits for it, and they have 1, and 1 will do, and that's probably very wise. That's a terrific arm out on that longer of the 2 boundaries. They have the boundary for this over. And that is just turned round the corner to square leg, who is just forward, now has to run to backward square leg to do the fielding, but not before they can take their 4th single of the over. McLeod has now equalled her highest score of the season so far. Griffith plays that beautifully, just places it. They reckon there's 2. They are going to the strongest arm in the field, but that's really well done by Lissy McLeod. She said there were 2. There were 10 off the over. McLeod 21 from 17, Griffith 14 from 13. And these two have picked up the pace since they came in. They've already added 38, more than doubled the score. The run rate is over 8 and over. Delighted with the way things are going so far. Smale to continue, and that is just played nicely away. I think there's 2 again. Cordelia Griffith waited for the call from Lissy McLeod, and Lissy said go. So Cordelia Griffith did, and they did take on the arm. That's a glorious shot on this occasion by Lissy McLeod. That is probably the shot of the day. Came down the wicket and she's just caressed that through the covers. What a lovely shot that was. So good with the placement. 4 more runs to McLeod. Remember, they were put in, the Sunrisers, by Western Storm. Smale, though, will continue. And that this time a little bit shorter in length and played on the up to mid-on, I think would be the position you describe it as. That's driven nicely, beating mid-off on this occasion. Goes up to long off, but not before they trot through for a single. Sophia Smale. Only taken the 1 wicket in the competition so far this season, but her economy rate is good, just at 5.5 until this match. As Cordelia Griffith picks up the short delivery, but picks out the fielder at deep mid-wicket, and they'll only be able to take the 1. But again, 8 already off this over, and there's still a ball to go. Short and punched away, but again it's straight down to deep mid-wicket. Single is taken happily enough though. 9 runs from the over. McLeod keeps the strike. 29 from 22 now. 25 from 16. I'll get this right in a minute. McLeod 29 from 22. Griffith 15 from 14. Run rate continues to just creep up. Skelton will continue to bowl from the Lynn Wilson end. Oh, and there's a half chance, and there's a chance for a run out. Neither have been taken, and Lissy McLeod has a life. Dropped on 29. Was well hit, but it was there, and Skelton got both hands on the ball. Oh, and this time she's lured Griffith down the wicket and beaten her on the outside. Certainly no way that wicket-keeper Wraith was going to miss that one. Nat Wraith whipped off the stumps. Just playing down the wrong line on this occasion, Griffith, and she goes for a run of ball 15. Wicket falls at 85. 2 short of the 50 partnership, but that was a brisk 48 and put on by that pair. And that brings in probably the best batter in the Sunrisers team, Grace Scrivens, who with Dani van Niekerk's arrival has dropped from opener to bat at number 5. She certainly enjoyed it the last time she came out. She hit 50 off 35 balls. So Skelton has her wicket. Now waiting for everyone to get ready. And that is punched down the ground by Scrivens, who's immediately off the mark. Still only 19, Grace Scrivens, but already earmarked for a pretty big future. That's helped round the corner, but just straight to the fielder at square leg, and there will be no run. Claire Nicholas was there. Good over so far from Skelton. Again, gets the defensive shot from McLeod, who hasn't played many of them in her brisk innings of 30. It could have been 2 wickets with a possible caught and bowled chance as well, first ball. And this is played away. And that is a really, really good over. And just, you feel, from Chloe Skelton, what her team needed. Still going pretty well as far as Sunrisers are concerned, though. Run rate has fractionally dropped below 8. But after 11 overs, 86 for 3. If you're just joining us, Maddie Villiers went for 8, blasted a couple of 4s in the first over before being bowled. Danny van Niekerk, 5 4s in her 20. No running for her today, before she was caught by the keeper Wraith off the bowling of Filer. Then Cordelia Griffith gave the charge to Skelton and was stumped again by Wraith, and she went for 15. Lissy McLeod dropped on 29, is there on 30. Grace Scrivens has just the 1. It will be Claire Nicholas who is back into the attack, who bowled the first over of this match. She's switched ends now to the David Capel end. Right arm over to the left-handed Scrivens, who is tempted into the drive on this occasion, but is beaten outside off stump. Wide from Nicholas on this occasion. Claims the cat caught behind, I think more as a tactic to take the umpire's mind off the fact that it was a wide, which was eventually remembered. This isn't. This is pitched up and driven straight though to the fielder, and Grace Scrivens can't add to the 1 that she has scored so far. Nicely bowled. Suddenly the brakes have come on. And that's clever from Scrivens. She doesn't middle it, but she manages to get the reverse between the fielders, and with the accelerator down they managed to get 2 runs from that shot. So clever batting without fully, as I say, middling the ball. That's played away into the covers, but there is no run. This time there will be runs, 4 of them. Lovely shot from Grace Scrivens. Played the reverse to perfection on that occasion. Bowler can't quite believe it. She bowled so nicely in that over. The only way Scrivens could find to score was to absolutely nail a reverse sweep for 4. Gorgeous shot. Score goes on to 93. McLeod 30 from 26. Scrivens run a ball 7. will be Gibson. Danielle Gibson back into the attack from the Lynn Wilson end. Full, driven through cover, and this is going to be a run now, and she can't quite get there. It was an excellent effort by Griffiths on the boundary, but it was just too well hit. McLeod timing it beautifully off the back, punch through the covers. Lovely shot. Danielle Gibson just bowled the one over so far. It only costs 5 runs. Oh, and it's straight to point, and Cordy, and it's a wicket, and a big one as far as Western Storm are concerned, because Lissy McLeod, who batted so well, has just cut it. Reaching for it, really, has just cut it straight to point. And it was, I think it was Prendergast who clung onto it from the bowling of Gibson, and she has gone for 34. So, again, slightly irritating as far as the Sunrisers are concerned. Going so well, but not able to go on. Alice McLeod, but she has set it up for Grace Scrivens and partners from now on in. But after that last shot before the wicket, she will be frustrated. It is Jo Gardner who has come in now to join Grace Scrivens. Bit of change in the field after that single. Saw Gardner immediately off the mark. Left-handed Grace Scrivens, however. Gibson's in, and that's flicked nicely round the corner, but there is a more regulation fine leg now, pretty straight, and that goes straight to her. And there is just the one run. So Gibson, after the 4 off the first ball of her over, has bounced back well. Wicket, single, single. Brisk. Also good wicket keeping. Nat Ray standing up to Danielle Gibson, who is a brisk medium. Final ball of the over, and forces the defensive shot from Jo Gardner. Played out into the covers. There is no run. Good over in the end from Danielle Gibson. Has now bowled 2 overs, 1 for 11. Very tidy. Now Grace Scrivens will be facing, just seeing who's coming on from the David Capel end. And it is Chloe Skelton who's switching ends after her success at the Lynn Wilson end, is now on at the David Capel end. See whether she can bowl as successfully from there. Right arm round, slightly stand and deliver, but Grace Scrivens can't beat the fielder at mid-wicket, who in turn, because it's hit so hard to Sophie Luff, she can't stop the ball first time. The 100 comes up for the Sunrisers. The beginning of the 14th over. Run rate just drifting now below 8, nearer 7.5. Chloe Skelton has been one good reason for that. She is in again. Oh, and that's well picked out in the end from Jo Gardner. It's a nice delivery. Had a loop. A little bit of spin too, but Gardner was there. Drove it up to long on, and they can go through for a single. Comes down the wicket this time, Scrivens, and she's gone. She has just picked out the fielder, and that is a massive wicket as far as Western Storm are concerned. Skelton has another wicket, and Grace Scrivens, well, she very nearly cleared Sophie Luff, but not nearly enough. And Scrivens goes for 9, and suddenly the top 5 are all gone. And after that wonderful start, 101 for 4 becomes 101 for 5. And when you consider they were 85 for 2, the Sunrisers, this is a little bit disappointing. Amara Carr, wicket-keeper batter, out now to join Jo Gardner. Scriven really has bowled well so far. Skelton rather, and that's just helped round the corner, but it's straight to the fielder, Smale. But they're quickly through, very quickly through, and in the end there was no danger of any run out. 102 now for 5. Carr off the mark first ball. Oh, and there's another stumping, is it? Or was her back foot back? No. Umpire says no. Wicket-keeper doesn't look disappointed, but very sharp again from Wraith. But well played on this occasion by Jo Gardner. This time waits, plays it off the back foot, punches it up. The bowler can't field off her own bowling, so it will be a single. That's the end of the over. Only 4 runs from it, all singles. Big wicket. Probably after Van Neerkerk, the 2 biggest wickets for this team. So if you can get Grace Scrivens and Dani Van Neerkerk, both of whom have now gone. So a lot now riding on the shoulders. You hesitate to call them the tail, but certainly batters 6 downwards as far as the Sunrisers are concerned. 103 for 5. Smale back into the attack. 14 so far from her 2 overs. Sophia Smale. That's just mistimed on this occasion by Gardner, looking to cut the shorter delivery away. There was a bit of turn. This is again just played out into the covers, no run. And the thrilling attacking play we saw earlier in the Sunrisers innings has rather come to a grinding halt currently. It's a fine piece of fielding, but can't stop the single. That is an aspect of the Sunrisers that has been excellent so far, is their ability to spot a single. Amelia Carr. "20 runs this season so far, just an average of 5. Does have a high score in her T20 career of 99, so Let's hope this is a blip. And that is just fetched over, just over Pendergast. It'll go all the way for 4. That was a good shot from Amara Carr. There was no margin for error, and she didn't make one. It was fetched superbly, and that means that Prendergast has now been sent back to the boundary, so more single opportunities if less boundary opportunities. Carr plays that backward of square. They both think of a single, and there was not a single there. That is the end of the over. After 15 overs, the score is 108 for 5, and the run rate that for so long was at 8 and over is now a fraction over 7, so things are slowing down a bit at the moment. Can the Sunrisers press the accelerator again for the final 5 overs? Skelton now has the excellent figures of 2 for 16 from her 3 overs. This will be her final over, which will be a relief to the Sunrisers, given the damage she has wrought so far, removing both Cordelia Griffiths and Grace Scrivens. She's in, and that is just pushed. A half push, half punch up to extra cover, but there is no run. This time onto it very quickly, almost hit it too well. Went straight out to Danielle Gibson. Deep mid-wicket, and they can only take a single. Down the leg side, and it's helped on its way, but straight to the fielder, but they can take a single, which they have to do a bit sharply to Claire Nicholas, but they manage it. And Skelton wears the attempted run out. He's just limping a tad, but seems all right now, and will continue to bowl. Oh, well bowled again. Absolutely bamboozles Joe Gardner on this occasion. Gave the ball air. His turn as well. And that's a better shot, but it will still only be one because the person is out at long off for that shot. So Chloe Skelton. She had 3 wickets before this match. She's up to 5 now. She's got one more ball with which to try and double her season's total. And that is played out into the covers. There is no run. And that is an excellent, excellent spell from Chloe Skelton. 4 overs. Very nicely bowled indeed. 2 for 19. Excellent, excellent bowling. And the Sunrisers will be glad that she has finished. They are on 111. Nelson for 5 with 4 overs remaining. Run rate now just drops below 7. And Orla Prendergast, who bowled pretty well in her earlier spell. She then bowled 5 wides and got clattered for a 4, so 9 of those runs were off the final 2 balls she bowled. She will presumably bowl her last 2 overs now. She will see things to a conclusion at the Lynn Wilson end. Just short and pulled with power. Oh, what a shot. There were 2 fielders pretty much out for that shot, but neither of them had a chance to move. Absolutely nailed it on this occasion to Gardner. This is better ball from Prendergast. She tucks Gardner up a bit. Gardner digs it out. Also, the wicket-keeper standing up to stop Gardner taking too many liberties, coming down the wicket to the pace bowler. Nat Ray certainly seems confident with her keeping. With every right to be from what we've seen so far. And this again just gets Jo Gardner looking for the pull shot. She nailed it off that first ball, but on this one she gets tucked up and doesn't manage to complete the shot. Watch that again. It did come into her. Good movement into the right-hander. It was that jag off the pitch that did for Gardner on that occasion. And Gardner again is tucked up. They go for the single. There's one there. It's well, good piece of running. Tip and run. And they go through for the single. So just the 5 runs from this over so far. 2 balls remaining. Well, it looks as if it was going to be a score of about 160 earlier. Looks like it could well be nearer 140 now on a good day. Prendergast in again, and that's just not really middled, but played into a gap so they can scamper through for another single. The car is keeping things going, a runner ball as far as she's concerned. Gardner having a little more trouble getting the run rate going from her end. Prendergast coming in to finish her 3rd over. And that is just bunted down to Holland at long on, and they go through for another single. So they take 7 from the over. Not bad, but not as many as they'd like. They've just got 3 overs left now. If they can get 10 and over from that, they'll be just shy of 150. But that's a big ask. And it looks like it'll be Daniela Gibson, who also has 2 overs remaining and has bowled very tidily, just the 11 from her 2 overs. And she will conclude things, you feel, for Western Storm from the David Capel end. Decent hit, but just driven straight up to that fielder at long off, and there'll only be a single. Gardner just finding it difficult at the moment to find the gaps. It's one terrific 4 off first ball of Prendergast's last over, but it's the only 4 she's managed so far. Mara Carr down on her knees to play that shot, but again she can only find a fielder out at deep cover. It's another single. Gibson, that again is just played out, and that all it'll be is 1 more. Skelton rather, with the fielding. Gibson will be happy just to go for singles at this stage of proceedings. Looked like the knuckleball just slowing things down again. It is punched out nicely, but again straight to that sweeper out on the cover boundary, who's at the moment saving a great many runs. And that is punched up to long on this occasion. And Amara Carr was thinking about 2, but Joe Gardner was not looking at a partner at the time. I don't think there ever were two there. There's just 5 singles so far for the Sunrisers. Amara Carr again is on an ease, and that probably should have been a run out, but Amara Carr survives. I think it was Sophia Smale whose throw came in, and bowler just couldn't reach the stumps in time. In fact, I'm doing Amara Carr a slight disservice. I think she was in. Now we've seen that TV replay. Well run. But it still means that only 6 runs came from that over. 124 for 5, 2 overs left. 2 good bowlers as well with the final 2 overs. One feels Walter Prendergast, Daniel Gibson. In again, and that's just drifting down leg side. They should be all right for the leg bye. Just the bye, in fact. No leg involved. There is a run. And Prendergast is launched back over ahead. It's not middled. And they've gone for 2 slightly suicidal runs. But I think they've managed to make it. Goodness me, that was good running. For a ball that was mishit and only just cleared the bowler, with players converging from all sides to it, they managed to take 2. Gardner survives. Gardner has smashed this up in the air as well. Now, fielder can't hold it though. Probably should have done a little bit better. Naeem Holland. That is a drop. Never seemed to be in the right position, Holland, to take that catch. Watch it again. She did almost overran it. But they get 3. Again, it was excellent running. That's better hit from Amara Carr, but once again that person, that field position has been excellent at saving runs for Western Storm out on that deep cover boundary. Sweeper. Better over though so far for the Sunrisers, not without the odd little bit of luck. And that is smashed. And that is dropped again. A harder chance, it must be said, a much harder chance, and it's gone for 4. But it was there in the air. The fielder couldn't quite get there and was having to dive. And in fact, the more I look at that, the harder that particular chance looks. Prendergast, though, will feel slightly aggrieved that she's seen 7 runs come from 2 balls that could have been wicket taking. Amara Carr, great shot, great shot. Very close to the first 6 of the innings, and she has fetched that miles, and it just bounced short of the rope for 4. And that is a terrific over as far as the Sunrisers are concerned. Boy, did they need it, but they got it. 139 for 5 then. Prendergast sees her figures pretty much rearranged as her 4 overs end up costing 34. Gibson will see us to the end of proceedings. The final over of the Sunrisers innings after they were put in by Western Storm. Amara Carr facing. Carr can barely reach that. They go for a very quick single, but nothing Luff can do to stop them. Wonder if possibly if she'd not chased after the ball, it may even have been a wide and they'd have had an extra delivery, but Carr goes to 12. Gardner has really clicked up through the gears. That's a full toss and it's brilliantly played inside out. Over extra cover's head. Super shot. It was a full toss, but it still needed playing. And Gardner, who's suddenly burst into life at the back end of her innings, and the back end of the Sunrisers innings, clatters it away for 4. This should fall safe. It does. Good fielding. They go for 2 though. Brilliant running by Amara Carr. She just wants to keep Jo Gardner on strike at the moment, and she's done it. What a good partnership this is turning out to be for the Sunrisers. They've already added 45. They've still got 3 balls left. And that is again placed safe. There should be 2, particularly with Amara Carr's pace between the wickets. It is 2. She is going to the danger end every time with this shot over extra cover. But Gardner keeps playing and keeps scoring from. 2 balls left, up to 148. Slower ball. And that actually was a really good delivery from Gibson. And Gardner was almost through the shot. So her job is done for the day. 37 from 29. Brilliant from Gardner. Clever ball though. Gardner will be relieved she got something on. But no chance to score heavily. They take the single. Amara Carr will face the final ball. Short. Oh, what a catch! What a caught and bowled that is. Amara Carr had nailed that. And Gibson just stuck out a right hand and a fabulous, fabulous catch, which he made look stupidly easy. Well, that is the end of the innings. 149 for 6 from their 20 overs, the Sunrisers. They'll be pretty pleased with that in the end. Looked as if there might be a few more earlier on. They were racing along at 8 and over as Danny van Niekerk was dealing only in boundaries. She scored 20 with 5 of them. Lissy McLeod, 34 at better than a runner ball. She batted beautifully. Cordelia Griffith continued with her good form this season. Grace Scrivens probably slightly disappointed, but in the end it needed that excellent performance from Jo Gardner. 37 off 29, and those 2 put on 48 for the 6th wicket. 149 for 6 in their 20 overs, 150 needed by the Western Storm. We'll be back after this break. Well, this break. We'll be back for the Western Storm's innings to see whether they can chase down the 150, or whether they can be defended by the Sunrisers for a first and possibly deserved victory this season. So we are back for the Western Storm innings. The Sunrisers coming out onto the pitch now as they look to defend their 149 for 6 from their 20 overs. Wraith and Gibson will open the batting for Western Storm. That's Danielle Gibson, who bowled very well, and Nat Wraith, who kept very well. So these two will be looking to continue their decent form in this match, but certainly the Sunrisers now feel that they have a decent total to defend. It was an innings that had a few ups and downs. At the end of the 10th over, 84 for 2. But that at the end of the 15th over had become 108 for 5. But then 41 runs coming from that final 5 overs, 25 of them coming from the final 2, ensured that Joe Gardner's magnificent 37 not out had given her bowlers something with which to defend. Now Maddie Villiers will open the bowling. She opened the batting. She started very brightly with a couple of 4s before she was out for 9 in the first over. And now Maddie Villiers will be bowling from the David Capel end. And Wraith punches that down the ground. They'll just go through for a single. Danny Villiers showing that both sides opening with a bit of spin. And that's driven up, and that's a decent stop because that's spat. But in the end it was very well fielded by Kelly Castle, the skipper, and keeps them down to a single. It was well hit by Gibson. Nicely bowled. Clears it nicely again. This is good fielding as well. There's a buzz about the Sunrisers field as there needs to be if they're to defend this total and rack up their first win of this competition, the Charlotte Edwards Cup. And that is a wicket early on. The breakthrough that they wanted, and Maddie Villiers has done it. What a good start, and Wraith has gone. Just clubs it straight to that player, Gardner, and what a match she's having. Joe Gardner clubs it straight to Joe Gardner at mid-on, and the breakthrough comes in the first over, just as it did earlier on as well for the Sunrisers when they were batting first. They lost Maddie Villiers on this occasion, but there are wickets involving Maddie Villiers in the first over of both innings. After she was out in the first innings for the Sunrisers, she's now taken the wicket of Nat Wraith, who will be a little disappointed. It was probably there to be hit, but she just never really got hold of it. And that is just cuffed into the covers, and there's very nearly a run out backing up. Good throw too. But what a good start from Maddie Villiers. Just the 2 runs from it. 2 for 1 is the score. And it is the unfortunate Natasha Wraith who has to go. So it'll be Eva Gray who will be opening the bowling for the Sunrisers from the Lynn Wilson end. Just making sure no hair will get in the eye, particularly with this brisk breeze and very cold breeze that is blowing across the ground here in Northampton. It is quite bitter. Eva Gray. That's a nice shot, flicked away into the leg side, but the fielder is there. Keeps them down to 1. Nice work in the deep. Paula Prendergast has now come out to join Daniela Gibson, so plenty of all-rounders in this team, but Paula Prendergast, she's got 3 international 50s for Ireland. Oh, and it's a thick edge. She's going to get off the mark. But Eva Gray will feel that the gods aren't with her on this particular occasion. It certainly wasn't where she was trying to play the ball. That is the first boundary of Western Storm's innings. Thick outside edge runs through to the third man boundary for 4. That is really nicely bowled, just short of a length, and Pendergrass looking to drive, finding the ball is on to her probably a little quicker than she expected, and comes out high off the bat into the covers. No power, no run. That's down leg side. That will be a wide. They have to just be a bit careful with the extras. They were given 14 runs in the Sunrisers total came from extras, and they won't want to repeat that. That was a wide. Oh, and that's a decent delivery, but maybe got a little bit of an inside edge. There was a slight call from Amara Carr from behind the stumps, but she decided against it. Danny has now joined me. Bless you, Danny, for making your way over. Oh, and that's decent shot. Prendergast might not have meant the first 4 she scored, but she meant the second one. She really did latch hold of that and blasted it over long off for 4. Came down the wicket, and it was a short arm jab in many ways.
It's a great view up here.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I've got an obstacle or two, but it's good, really good. And that is played out into the covers, just straight out to the point fielder, and there is no run. So a better over on that occasion from Western Storm. Still needed an edge though to survive. 12 for 1 after 2. And Danny, what's the feeling in the Sunrisers camp after the work with the bat?
Well, yeah, it's first half of the game completed, and obviously, yeah, it's great to be at Northampton and to come to ground that we've enjoyed playing on in the past. Might not have got all the results, but we've enjoyed playing here. So it's brilliant to be out there. We've done half of what we need. We've now got to do the other half. As you never know in this game, it changes very, very quickly. So yeah, they'll be trying to execute their skills as best they can and stick to the game plan.
Well, it's Grace Scrivens who will keep the spin going from the David Capel end here at the county ground in Northampton. Right arm round, and that's a bit short, and that is just pulled superbly away for 4. Just lost a length a little bit on that occasion, Grace Scrivens, and Gibson was on it very quickly. Smacks that away for 4 more. Oh, and that is a brilliant caught and bowled. The umpire's given it.
It was a run out off a misfield by the bowler.
Oh,
that
it's a
had
run out. I thought she'd held
stranded. So, one of the most unfortunate ways to go in a game of cricket, but one of the ways that
you'll take it.
Yeah, you'll definitely take it. It's obviously hurt Grace's hand as well, so
yeah, that was the bit I was worried about.
Okay, it is chilly out there. You probably don't know it.
Oh,
up here it is chilly
remarkable.
out there, but you.
Oh, it is. It's free. Yeah, no, don't worry. We know it's chilly up here as well, but down there it must be really sharp.
You don't expect hand warmers in your pockets at the end of May. It's June tomorrow, which I believe is the beginning of summer, and we've got hand warmers in pockets, and a South African who's asking who turned the fridge on.
She'd have a point. Yeah, flaming June is a day away, apparently. You wouldn't believe it today.
I can't wait.
What a wicket to fall, though. It was a good stop by Grace Scrivens, but I don't think for a second she actually meant the ball to go back between her legs at right angles and hit the stumps.
I'm not sure many bowlers could say they actually meant it. Sometimes when you do follow through and it's coming straight back in the line of the stumps, trying to get your finger on it, but that wasn't on the line of the stump, so you've got a certain amount of luck, but I'm sure she's claiming it.
Absolutely, yeah. Eyes in the back of my head. But the more worrying thing is the treatment she is having to have for that finger. We hope that she will be all right to continue.
You don't need ice. It's cold enough out there anyway. So
absolutely. And we're just seeing it. It hit her on the half volley, and she tried to pick the ball up. And poor old Orla Prendergast, who had wandered down to back up, suddenly turned round and found the stumps had rearranged, and almost apologetically the umpire said, "I'm terribly sorry you're out."
She was completely stranded.
This time the fielder is round to ensure that they just keep to a single. So Grace Scrivens' interesting first three deliveries. The first one was smashed away for 4. The second one was smashed but straight back at the bowler, and on this occasion then hit the stumps to run out the batter backing up. That's gone for a single. Still don't think a finger's stinging. That's again a little on the short side, but not timed. Laid out to the deep mid-wicket boundary, and they go for 2, and they'll get them. They decided very early that there were 2 there, and Wilson is off the mark. But 2 wickets down already. That couldn't go much better as far as the Sunrisers are concerned. This is driven beautifully, and that will go all the way for 4. It was all timing and placement. They were mid on and mid off to stop that shot. Grace Scrivens bowling round the wicket, couldn't get round for the off drive, and Wilson has started very brightly indeed. Fran Wilson. She played, of course, 30 T20 internationals for England, so she knows what she's doing. And that is just flicked round the corner, and that will be another single. Grace Scrivens, I think, will be pretty pleased that this over is finished. And there's even a overthrow. Silly, didn't need it, just needed the throw into the wicket keeper. Nothing that the unfortunate fielders Abtahar Maqsood couldn't stop the ball as it spat off the wicket. So it ended up with 2, 25 for 2 after 3. It was a moderately expensive over, but Orla Prendergast is out, and now we will see the skipper to see what she can bring to the party. She's bowled really well this season, Kelly Castle.
She has. She's been a key part of our bowling attack when you want to take the pace off, especially in the power play, because it's so difficult for the spinners to bowl in these restricted overs. So for Kelly to be able to come in, bowl stump to stump, but make the batters play. Picked up a few wickets along the way, and it's good form at the moment.
Yeah, 6 wickets at 17 so far in this Charlotte Edwards Cup, and that's flicked out into the leg side. It will only be a single. Fielders in very smartly from deep mid-wicket to ensure that there's just the one. Fascinatingly poised at the moment, this match.
Yeah, the last over is a great example of how T20 cricket can be. You feel like you might be winning an over, but you look off at the scoreboard and they've added a few runs on. So you've got to be careful. You've got to do your skills really well.
Absolutely. And that is just cut away, and that's a good stop by Maqsood in that point region. Had to dive down to her right. She certainly saved 3 runs. And that's what you need at this stage in the power play. Those kind of stops in that ring of fielders. Driven nicely again this time, but oh, it would have been gone. It would have been gone. It was a terrific effort from Eva Gray.
Yeah, it was a tight single. You want to keep the pressure on both as a batting team and a bowling team, so trying to steal those in the ring is going to be a key tactic.
I might think twice about running to Eva Gray again on that. Full, swung round, and the wide is given despite it hitting the pad. One of those tough ones for the bowler, you feel sometimes. The umpire has decided that was heading down leg side. Kelly Castle this time does get length and line bang on. Turned into the leg side, but there is no run. Just a little bit of a wait before Kelly Castle comes in again. And that is definitely a wide, that one.
Very good work behind the stumps from Barakar. Obviously, her and Joe Gardner have a history of batting together here and putting in big partnerships, but they're 40, 48, I think it was, that they put on at the end there. Really got us a good total here.
25 off the last 2 overs. And that's just pushed out into the covers. There is no run. Just need to keep the ball on or around that off stump. Just the 5 runs so far from this over, but a couple of wides, as we saw when the Sunrisers were batting. The final ball of an over when there's been wides. How often does that cost? On this occasion, not at all, because the ball is played out to point. Tahar Maqsood is in very quickly to field. Decent over that, just the 5 runs from it. 30 for 2 after 4. Gibson 3 from 3. Wilson, though, the real danger, Fran Wilson, you feel.
And a player that Sunrisers know well. She spent the first 2 years of this regional structure with us, playing both, Charlotte Edgeworth Cup and Rachel Ho Flint before moving back home when she retired from England to Bristol, where she's now living. So play that that most of the players know each other very well because it's a relatively small world, but certainly we know Fran really well, and she's a brilliant player for Sunrisers for the time she was with us.
And this is pushed out into the covers, middled again from Gibson, but without any real power, and Maddie Villiers probably wouldn't have raced back if it hadn't been for that finger problem for Grace Scrivens, and that's just dropped a little bit short, and on it very quickly indeed is Gibson, Daniela Gibson, and she pulls that away, and it's 4 runs. Maddie Villiers didn't let it, just didn't miss the length by much, but enough. And the batter just steps away because of a little movement behind her, and the David Capel stand now ready to commence. And that is tucked round the corner. There's a slight misfield from Lissy McLeod. But she corrects herself and keeps it down to a single that was always there. Right arm round the wicket to try and just make the line of attack such that it's harder for the batter to launch themselves at the spinner. So far it's working pretty well in this over. Dot ball. Clever reverse. This could go all the way. Maqsood is really putting the afterburners on. Now, I couldn't tell you, and it's happened right below our commentary box, whether that's a 4 or not. I think it might have been. Just waiting to see. Yep, the 4 has been given.
Toblerones are very unforgiving when you get close to them. You can't stop yourself in time. So it's a strange field. You can't see on the stream the very varying boundary sizes that you have to defend.
That was pretty close. Looking at that again on replay, but the 4 is given. Would have been 3, matter of a run. Just a little bit short on this occasion, Villiers, and pulled away, but just for the single. And that will be the end of the over. 10 runs from it. 40 for 2 after 5. 37 for 2. The Sunrisers at the same stage of proceedings.
Yeah, one of the challenges here, as I was saying, the boundary size is very, very different on both sides. It's a massive boundary from to the left-hand side as we're looking, so to the onside from the end that we're about to bowl, and or the offside the end that we're about to bowl. And actually, it's almost harder to stop them scoring boundaries outside in the power play, just because when you do have your boundary rider out there, you've got so much ground to cover. So we've seen, certainly in the latter part of the game when Joe and Zamara were batting together, they were trying to target the shorter boundary, but when you've got your 4 players out later in the game, it's a lot easier to defend that boundary and the longer boundary, obviously. So there's a bit of cat and mouse going on at the moment.
Eva Gray from the Lynn Wilson end, and that's a wide down the leg side. In the end, Kelly Castle just had the 1 over, and then Eva Gray back into the attack, so rotating the bowlers. Slight tendency from this end to just push the ball down the leg side. We've seen it from both teams, and that is flicked off middle and leg round the corner just for a single. Joe Gardner races in. Keep them just down to the 1.
As frustrating extras are when you've got your 2 fielders out and you're protecting the leg side, like you miss, you want to go leg side if you're going to miss, but it's going to cost you 4 runs if you miss it too far to the offside.
Eva Gray in once again, slightly short and pulled away quickly, but straight to the fielder. So there should only be 1. They think about a second, but then realise just what a good arm the fielder has. So
yeah, it was Maddie Villiers picking the ball up there, and she's one of the best fielders in our side and in the country. So you're not going to take that arm on, not at this stage of the game anyway.
She has got a terrific arm. Yeah, Eva Green. Again, just straying down leg side, and she's cross with herself. And with this match on a knife edge, you don't want to give away too many unnecessary ones. March is purposefully back though. And that's a wide on the offside on this occasion, as Fran Wilson can't quite reach it. 3 wides in the over so far. Skipper just has a chat. Now that's a good length and line. That's dug out, not entirely convincingly, out onto the leg side. She was looking to play it on the offside, but it squirted out leg side, and they go through for a single. And that's where Eva Gray needs to concentrate. And that was full. Maddie Villiers should stop it and does stop it. And there's another terrific throw. Eva Gray manages to parry behind the stumps. And that was coming in like a rocket. Keeps them down to 1 though. The wides, that's 7 so far from this over. Still 2 balls to go. Nice looking drive, and it beats the fielder, and it's going to go, I think, all the way. No, Maddie Villiers may drag it in, and she does. She almost dived too early. But she does manage to keep them down to 3.
Yeah, Kelly got stuck in the ground, and Maddie almost got stuck in the ground. She had to go swimming there, didn't she?
She just managed to drag it back, poor. That would have been deeply annoying if she had just slightly mistimed that dive. Short. Bunted out to extra cover. There's no run. End of a lengthy over. 50 comes up. 50 for 2 after 6. 48 for 2 at the same time, the Sunrisers. So at the moment, there is a certain symmetry between these two teams. Now, who is Kelly Castle going to introduce?
Looks like Grace Scrivens is coming back on again.
Yeah, Finger must be feeling a bit better. She's going to continue from that David Capel end. Kelly Castle just getting protection sorted out on the offside. For the right-handed Wilson. It's 19 from 13. Gibson 16 from 13. Ray Scrivens just making sure. She also has protection on the leg side. Power play is over, of course, now. And that's rocked back onto the back foot and punched through to the short boundary, and it goes all the way. Nothing that Maxud could do to drag that one back. And it's a 4 off the first ball. Just a little bit of width there from Grace Scrivens.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of margin for error when you've got three in the ring on the offside.
And that is just this time absolutely swept beautifully for 4 more. This tactic of bowling right arm round to the right-handers always interests me. It works sometimes.
Yeah, it does work sometimes. I suppose when you're trying to defend, it gives you that angle that means you can get it in at their pads and give them less chance to get the ball across them. So it does depend on the batter, and they do a lot of work talking about how they want to approach each batter.
Well, that continues to be the line of attack, despite the boundaries from the first 2 balls, and that's a much better ball from Grace Scrivens. Not giving width, not short, and giving time to Wilson, who's now raced on to 27 from 16. And again, nicely bowled. She waits for it and just paddles it round the corner, Wilson, just for a single.
Sounds overly simplistic, but it doesn't really matter whether you bowl over, round, or what field you set, but you still got to put the ball in the spot that you want to put it in. So that's what we've got to focus on at the moment.
Grace Scrivens again does put the ball exactly where she wants to. Nice little bit of loop as well from that delivery. Nothing that Gibson could do to attack her on that So after those first 2 balls, she's come back well, Grace Scrivens. This is swept, but there is a fielder on the sweep. And another terrific piece of fielding. This time from Eva Gray means that the ball is only good for a single. 60 for 2 though, after 7 overs. And guess what? After 7 overs, the Sunrisers were 60 for 2. So
see how this is going, can't you?
Yeah,
It's going to be
neck and neck at the moment.
I might have no fingernails left by the end of it, guys. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I'm just saying. Ah, now we have the.
We'll see leg spin come into attack with
Exactly.
Maksud coming in.
Wild card, absolutely.
Yeah, she's a key part of the plan as well. And as I say, it doesn't really matter who's bowling, how you approach the crease and where you put your field. We've got to execute our skills well to defend this total. It's a very good batting track, and it is difficult to defend with the uneven boundaries.
A little bit short and pummeled away, but just straight down the ground, and Eva Gray is there to keep them down to a single. I always feel for leg spin bowlers, it's harder than for off spin bowlers to not drag down occasionally. Maksud, one of the very best. And does get a little bit of turn there too. It's played with the spin out to the deep cover boundary, and they just go through for a single. It's taken a couple of wickets so far in this Charlotte Edwards Cup. And that's a good delivery. As Gibson just reaching for it a little bit. Nicely taken too by Amara Carr. That is fetched. Maddie Villiers can't quite stop it though. Thought for a minute Maddie Villiers was going to get round to it, and she looks a little bit cross with herself. Gibson was on that very quickly. She mowed it rather than any book you might shot you might find in a truly technical excuse me, cricket shot manual, but effective. Maddie Villiers managed to get there, but the ball bounced just in front of her. Oh, and Maksud this time just ensuring that all Gibson can do is flick the ball off into the leg side, and that is a single to add to the total. 2 balls left in this Maksud over. And this is bowling to a field, and it's just played out into the gully. That is the end of the over. Pretty tidy one on the whole from Abtahar Maksud. Just the 7 runs from it, 67 for 2, and that's what the Sunrisers need. A few more of those overs under 8. Still very little between these two teams at the moment, but you feel the Sunrisers could do with a wicket now.
Yeah, I think that's the understatement of the day, Guy. And that, well, yeah, partnerships are generally what take a game away from you or help you win a game if you're the one building it. So yeah, it's probably key really. It's about building up the pressure with the ball. Started that at the back end of that over from Maksud, and hopefully Joe Gardner, who's already played a massive part in the game today, can continue that.
Well, Joe Gardner with that super innings that made sure the Sunrisers got up to that 149 is in now, and that is just played backward a square but straight to Maksud at backward point. No run. Exactly the start her team would have wanted. Now, both teams have found that spin Seems to be the way to go on this wicket. That's slightly short and he's fetched round the corner. It should be stopped, and Eva Gray does stop it. Super throw, can't stop them taking 2. But boy, another player with a wonderful arm, because that was from the long boundary. Joe Gardner in once again. Just a quicker delivery. Hurried up the batter a bit. Plays it back to the bowler. She's going right arm over the wicket. Again, not afraid to bowl quite quickly, and that's thumped up to deep mid-on. Well, they can only take a single. She gets through her overs to lick as well, Joe Gardner. Just waits for everybody to be ready, including the batter Wilson. Outside off stump, and Wilson just cuts that away to deep cover fielder. Kelly Castle does the fielding. Again, just the single. Decent over so far, this from Joe Gardner. Can she get through the final ball? Short, but fetched away, but straight to the fielder. Again, terrific work with the throw. I think 6 from the over, so 72 for 2 now. Exactly 8 runs and over. They need 78 to win from 11. At the same stage, after 9 overs, 75 for 2, the Sunrisers.
Okay, I'm starting to get the point here.
Sorry, I'll shut up with this, shall I? It's getting quite boring now.
As long at the point where we started to lose wickets, they lose wickets as well. We can play this game all day.
Well, that's right. So from the 11th over, things got to start happening. Otherwise,
we can do it in this over just to make things a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Skipper leading the way, Kelly Castle.
Kelly has a habit of doing it, so let's hope that today's also her day.
And that is played not altogether convincingly. She was aiming onto the offside, but gets the ball down to long on. Dribbles down there somewhat, but they only take the single. Moment, Fran Wilson 30 from 20, going very nicely indeed. Gibson 28 from 25. Castle, nice delivery. Just squaring up the batter, looking to flick the ball into the leg side, couldn't. Amara Carr swiftly out from behind the stumps, standing up to Kelly Castle. This time, the batter tries to come down the pitch to make something happen, but Kelly Castle sees it coming, drops it in a little bit shorter. Just played defensively back to the bowler. Tidy stuff so far. Wilson this time looks to flick into the leg side. But there'll only ever be one there. It was brilliantly taken by Amara Carr, because the throw was strong from Joe Gardner, but Amara Carr leapt to pluck the ball out of the air. Only the single. Castle, and that's fetched. Now that could be safe. Oh, and goes for 4. Well, you have to give marks for placement, because 2 Sunrisers fielders must have thought that they were in with a chance to start with that one. Maddie Villiers certainly was one of the fielders out on the deep, and Flo Miller the other one, who, when they saw the ball in the air, must have been hoping for the best, but the gap was found by Gibson, and she moves on to 32. That's helped round the corner, and this is going to be more runs, and after a superb over, suddenly it's turned out to be expensive. 10 off it in the end. 82 now for 2. Wilson has moved to 31 from 23. Gibson 36 from 27. And just couldn't keep the brakes on for the last 2, Danny Warren.
No, but I know what you're going to tell me, that
I'm not going to say
we were
anything,
84 for 2 at this stage, so we're still slightly ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And the conversation out there will be pretty simple. It's 1 wicket, 1 ball, and the game changes. So you keep doing that, you keep hanging on in there, you bowl a few dots, that run rate and required run rate get closer together, and it changes very, very quickly at this time of an innings. So yeah, big few overs coming up.
Yeah, it's Maddie Villiers who will come on again from the David Capel end. Danny Warren, it's very kind of you to come up, Danny, but I know you've got to go as you have other jobs to do, but thank you for keeping us company. Dot ball to start with from Maddie Villiers. And this is punched up to mid-on. Fielder moves in very swiftly indeed, again to keep them down to a dot. Driven back to the bowler. You like it when you see your spinners moving briskly through their overs, and suddenly the pressure's on the batters because they've played 3 balls and they haven't managed to score. And in fact, just to break things up, Gibson ran down to just have a word with Fran Wilson. Villiers is in again, and that is a slightly harsh wide, but is given. No complaint from the bowler. That's short and just fetched round the corner though. Eva Gray is there. Lovely throw. And there will be only 1. So just a couple of balls left in this over with no more wides. 2 runs from it. We saw that in the last over as well, and then suddenly back-to-back boundaries. And that is cut away, and that should run all the way for 4. No. Well fielded in the end by Van Niekerk, and it will be just the 2. Sorry, it was Scarlett Hughes, and that is driven back to the bowler who stops it brilliantly, Maddie Villiers, with her right hand. So just 4 runs from the over. What a good over in the end from Maddie Villiers, but just watch that stop again, because that was hit, and Maddie Villiers making sure she got a knee out of the way, because that would have hurt. Just elegantly put out a right hand and said, right, yeah, hit it as hard as you like, I'll keep stopping it. So just brakes applied somewhat in that. Can Maqsood keep that break on? We just saw the 1 over from Kelly Castle. Maqsood is back on. Air, bit of a full toss, swung, and it bisects the 2 fielders who are out for that shot. The full toss, well, dealt with pretty uncompromisingly. Lots of foot movement before the ball was actually bowled to try and put the bowler off. Maqsood is in again. This is another full toss, and this is swung away again. This time, however, it is to the fielder. And Joe Gardner in briskly and keeps them down to a single. So a couple of full tosses at the beginning of Maqsood's second over. And that's fetched, and that will be 4. Cow corner, not pretty, but absolutely nailed it to Gibson. She moves to 42 from just 30 balls. The score goes up to 95. And boy, could the Sunrisers do with a wicket now. At the moment, this is all rather rushing away from them. Started so brightly with those 2 wickets in the first 3 overs. 16 for 2 at one stage. And now they've raced away. They've added 79 for the 3rd wicket, these two. Gibson to face. Maksud is in, and that's a better delivery, but it's nicely played by Gibson, who came down and made it into a half volley and drives it up to mid-off. Eva Gray does the fielding. But they're through for a single, and they've done the hard work really in this over. They've already taken 10 from it. Maksud, the Scotland international, of course. 33 matches for a country. 35 wickets at just over 15. And that's a better delivery, and that squirts out backward of square, where Van Niekerk does the fielding. No run. Maksud in again. Oh, and it's the reverse and gets away with it. Amara Carr was leaping across to 1, try and stop the runs, and 2, try and actually pick up the catch, but it's gone for 4. Beats all the fielders converging on it, and that's turned out to be an expensive over. 14 from it. The 100 comes up. Nothing that poor Kelly Castle could do to stop that. Big skipper. 100 up then after 12 overs. And that need for wickets has just got increasingly necessary. Haven't even had a chance so far. So Jo Gardner comes back. Bowled nicely in her first over. Just the 5 runs from it. And this is a little reverse slap round the corner. Maksud is really doing a best to get there, and does. Decent throw as well. And keeps them down to 2. Chasing it down with Lissy McLeod. Gardner in again, and that's smacked up in the air. Now, how far has that gone? It's gone all the way, and that is the first 6 of the match, and it brings up Gibson's 50. Well, what a way to do it. The first 50 of the match. Gibson has reached her 50 from just 33 balls, Danielle Gibson. Superb from her. It's her second 50 of this T20 season. She follows 1 boundary with another. It's 10 off the last 2 balls. And at the moment, things are very much not going the Sunrisers' way. And there's a bit of a break while the ball is found. A discussion is had. We've raced now to 112 for 2, 12 off the first 3 balls. Bit of physio going on with one of the players out in the deep. Not sure how they injured themselves. There is a certain amount of concern. I think that's Danny Van Niekerk, and she doesn't look happy. holding a hamstring, but she seems a little better now. It's been stretched out. We'll just watch that again. Slapped away. And you just see Van Niekerk pull up a little just in that picture. Just saw her pull up a touch. She's still bending and trying to see whether she can work through that problem. That would be a blow for the Sunrisers. Gardner in again, and that's slapped back. And Gardner does brilliantly, diving to a right to stop it, but that might have hurt as well. Particularly in this bitterly cold weather. I had a real finger tingler. Gibson's 33, ball 50. That's short and pulled away, but it's pulled straight up to long on, who gets the ball in briskly. Still one more ball to go from this over. 13 from it so far. Joe Gardner, whose first over was so tidy, and leans back and punches it through the covers, and Van Niekerk with that dodgy hamstring just can't get close to it, and I don't think she's going to be able to continue for much longer. That's 4 more, and at the moment Western Storm are coasting to victory here in Northampton. Partnership is now worth 100. Gibson has scored 50 of that 100. Wilson 45. Just 64 balls. It's been a terrific effort. So, Kelly Castle, when in doubt, bring yourself on if you're the skipper, and why not? Gibson 56 not out from 36. A terrific knock. That's a very correct looking shot, punched up to Van Niekerk, who's still managing to stay on the pitch despite that inability to sprint currently. And that's swept out into the long on area, mid-wicket area, and they can only take the one though. Wilson on strike, 45 for her so far. And that's just helped into the leg side. It will be straight to the fielder, where Flo Miller is on it quickly. Good fielder, Flo Miller. Castle is in once again. That is punched into the onside. If they go quickly, there might be 2, but Maddie Villiers is quicker than both the batters and says, I think you probably should go back. Lovely piece of fielding from Maddie Villiers. Wonderful fielding, not all that is required at the moment. Wickets desperately required. It's good over though so far, just the 3 singles from it. Make that 4. Grace Scrivens doing the fielding out in the deep. And what a good arm she's got, because that boundary is very long indeed. Out on the offside as we look at it from our position at the Lynn Wilson end. And this is bludgeoned down towards long on. It will only be another single, and that's a tidy over from Kelly Castle. Just the 5 singles from it. But at the moment, just 28 more runs required to win from 6 overs, so the required run rate is fraction over 4.5. So 5 singles and over would do it easily. Bit of a conflab between Gibson and Wilson. 100 partnership they put in. Eva Gray is going to come back into the attack. So far 2 overs for 20 for Eva Gray. Bit of a problem with the wides as well. She's switched ends though now. She bowled a previous 2 overs from the Lynn Wilson end. Now she's coming on from the David Capel end. Sunrisers could really do with a bit of magic now. It's a full delivery that is punched up to long on. Just the 1 run. Gibson moves on to 60. Wilson's 47 not out. Fran Wilson, a previous Sunriser, of course. Already got 150 this season. And that is a little bit on the up. And it beats extra cover, but it doesn't beat mid off. It goes over the head though, the throw to the bowler, but there is good support backing up from a long way out, it must be said. But another run is taken. Wilson 48, Gibson back on strike. This is a season's best score for her, 60. That's punched up to mid-off, and that's another single. In fact, I think this is a career best from Danielle Gibson. So someone's going to be happy today, even if it isn't the Sunrisers currently. 25 needed from 33 balls. And that's blatted out through the covers, and that will be a 50 for Fran Wilson. Not pretty, but immensely effective, that particular shot. As it runs away, she moves to 50 from just 36 balls, 8 fours. This is short and swung away. It will go straight to the fielder. They'll only take a single. Don't have to take any more at the moment. Ball eventually makes its way back to Eva Gray. Hasn't put badly in this over. She's seen 8 runs plundered from it so far. Wilson getting her second 50 of the season. It's now equal to highest score this season as well, with that 53. That's swung out into the wide blue yonder, and they take another single. And the end of the over comes. 9 runs from it, 131 now for 2, just 19 runs required. 5 overs with which to get them, so less than 4 and over. Daniela Gibson. This is going to boost her average this season, which stood at 21.5 and 21.5 coming into this game. Fran Wilson, her average 22.5. Kelly Castle had been by far the Sunrisers' most effective bowler, 6 wickets at 17. But that's a nice delivery draws the false shot on this occasion. But it's a rather despondent appeal for leg before, ball going down the leg side. Nobody truly believed it, but it just helped boost spirits a bit. Abdahar Maqsood runs in from third man to sort of shortish mid-wicket. And immediately the ball is played out to her at that shortish mid-wicket. Dot ball. Well, this is very tidy from Kelly Castle. They need more than tidiness at the moment. They need a big broom to sweep over the wickets. In again, and that's swung up in the air. There is half a chance, and it's really nicely taken. So finally the wicket has fallen. Lovely catch in the deep. It really was under a little bit of pressure too, but so you wouldn't know it from Flo Miller's take. Gibson will be slightly disappointed as Flo Miller comes in, makes a difficult catch look easy when we think how we saw several go down earlier. But that innings of 62 might well be enough, you feel? Third wicket falls. Score on 149. So 131. The score. Third wicket goes down. Kelly Castle will bowl to her opposite skipper, Sophie Luff, who is tucked up a little by that delivery. This is excellent work from Kelly Castle. Not only has she taken the wicket, she's also applied a bit of breakage. That's full, and it's well played by Sophie Luff, and Kelly Castle will be cross with herself. She bowled so beautifully in that over, and the moment she over pitches, Sophie Luff is onto it like a shot and does do well to get the ball that square, and the score moves on to 135. Castle only has one more delivery left. She's done herself and a team proud with her performance again with the ball though. 1 for 24, and make that, it stays on 1 for 24 from her 4 overs. So she went at 6 and over. She took one of the 3 wickets to fall. Maddie Villiers with the other one in the very first over. And she had Nat Wraith caught by Gardner. The score was only 2 at that juncture, and it was 16 for 2, and the Sunrisers would have really had their hopes up. But now the score is 135 for 3. 15 are required with 4 overs left to score those 15 runs. Wilson still there on 53. It will be Maddie Villiers to come on from the David Capel end again. She just has 1 over left. She's been very tidy indeed. She's got the figures of 1 for 16 from her 3 overs. Bowled beautifully. That, however, is a full bunger, but almost so high that the batter can't quite control it and just ends up slapping it up to long on, and they go through for a single. Luff now on strike. Long on coming into mid on. That's well bowled, and it's tucked away to shortish mid wicket. Nice piece of fielding, nice throw. Eva Gray. Maddie Villiers. Again, quite quick, and that's a sharp single. But on this occasion, they time it absolutely correctly. Lovely running. And Grace Scrivens can't throw the stumps down, twisting her body round. And that is quicker, shorter, but bunted straight out to deep mid-wicket. Possibility of two possibly there, but why would you? And they're happy with the one. 12 now required to win from 20 balls. Decent crowd in now. See the denouement of this one as that's played out into the leg side. Well bowled, Maddie Villiers. Just the 3 singles. She's going to have good figures from this. Even if the last one goes for 6, she's still got very good figures from this. She comes in for her final ball. And that's just played comfortably up to long on. They'll only take a single though. Maddie Villiers, 4 overs are over. 1 for 20 for her. Lovely bowling. She and Kelly Castle have bowled very well indeed, but everyone else has been a tad expensive. Eva Gray, the only other bowler at the moment who is averaging under 10 and over, and she's averaging 9.66. So here she is, Eva Gray, to come in to bowl the 18th over from the Lynn Wilson end. Bit of a conflab going on at the moment. Ponytail is correctly adjusted. We heard from Danny Warren that they've actually got warming mitts out there at the moment because it is so bitterly cold. And Gray is in once again. Nice ball, good length, good line. Nothing much Luff could do about that except play it back down the track. No run. Maiden over here would just make life interesting again, you feel? No pressure to Eva Gray. Luff picks that up. Should be straight down to Flo Miller, and Flo Miller does well. Lovely piece of fielding. And keeps them to a single. Full but dipping. Nice delivery. The inform Wilson, though, seeing the ball so well at the moment, manages to flick it out into the leg side for a single. Mara Carr behind the stumps, just suggesting a possible field change. Gray is in, and that's down the leg side and will be a wide. And that has been nice. The one problem with Eva Gray so far, she bowled really nicely on the whole. A couple of loose deliveries possibly, but everybody bowls a couple of loose ones in 4 overs. She just let a few stray down that leg side. This is played into the leg side, but will only be a single. However quickly Sophie Luff set off for the first one. There was never two there. Eva Gray just the 4 runs now from 2 balls left of her spell. Oh, and a little reverse dink. What a lovely shot that was. She seemed to have all the time in the world to play that, Wilson. Goes through for 2 and very nearly didn't get there. Had to put in the dive at the end. Decent throw. Wanted to keep the strike. 1 more ball left of this over. Wilson on 58, Luff 8, 145 for 3. Just 5 runs required. Gray bowling. Still 5 runs required. That is the end of Gray's over. Pretty good one. 6 runs from it. 131 for 3. She finishes with 4 overs for 35. Now the 2 overs have got to be found for somewhere. Well, probably only 1 if we're being realistic. Who is going to be given the denouement? And it is Grace Scrivens, who is almost put in the fall guy role here to bowl the last over. Probably. Luff on strike. 5 runs required, 12 balls with which to get them. Essentially it's a ring of fielders with a couple of people sweeping, but it's trying to stop the singles really. Scrivens is in, and that's flicked over the top by Sophie Luff. Should go all the way and does, and the scores are tied at 149 each. Luff moves on to 12. Just the 1 run required now. Lovely footwork by Sophie Luff. She was averaging 49 coming into this one with a high score of 44 because she's very rarely been out. Looks as if she's just going to increase that now. Scrivens is in, and it's just dinked into the leg side. And Sophie Luff skippers her team to victory. It's a win by 7 wickets for the Western Storm, with 10 balls left in their 20 overs. A very comfortable victory in the end, which will be a disappointment to the Sunrisers. Innings just lost its way a little in the middle for them, and then after a bright start they suddenly saw the match get away with them as Daniela Gibson and Fran Wilson put on a 100 partnership for the 3rd wicket, and that really did change how this match was running at the time. Nice to see handshakes between all the players. The umpires joining in as well. Amara Carr goes over to have a chat as well with the officials. But the winless streak in the Charlotte Edwards Cup goes on for the Sunrisers. That's none from 5 for them now. Western Storm, well, that's their 2nd victory in 5 this season. 2 wins and 3 defeats. But now the 2 teams will all shake hands. Played in a really nice spirit this match. Lovely ground here at the county ground in Northampton. As we see the finish to this one, the men will be playing later this evening. You have to see that one on Sky. But here we're just watching as the denouement comes down and the players head back to the pavilion after that victory by 7 wickets for the Western Storm. A few highlights for the Sunrisers. Lissy McLeod's 34. That was really nice to watch. Joe Gardner's wonderful knock at the end of 37. As she and Amara Carr put on 48 for the 6th wicket in no time at all to get them up to 149. We wondered whether that might be enough, particularly when we saw Western Storm fall to 16 for 2. The unfortunate Orla Prendergast run out backing up, more by luck than good judgment, it must be said, from Grace Scrivens. Saw her manage to get the ball onto the stumps. She was out for 8, and suddenly the victory seemed on. But Daniela Gibson with a fabulous 62, including the only 6 of the match. 50 coming off just 33 balls, along with Fran Wilson, whose 50 came off 36 deliveries with 8 fours, ensured that really there was, even though they managed to remove Gibson before the end, that was never going to be enough. So it does mean that that winless streak goes on for the Sunrisers. It is a victory for the Western Storm by 7 wickets with 10 balls in hand, with Wilson left unbeaten on 58, Luff the skipper on 13, who scored the winning run. Thanks very much indeed for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much to Danny Warren, who dropped in to say hello. But this is me, Guy Swindles, saying thanks very much for watching. We'll be back next time to see whether the Sunrisers can get that first all-important victory.